How's it going, Bears? Man, tomorrow here. I want to thank y'all for coming through such short notice. Um, you guys have got to understand that the show today on the breakdown, I stopped in for a little bit, but it was very obvious that this individual put herself in those type of circumstances, and this is one of the strengths I think of having women in the actual manosphere. So that way, the women can actually get the story out of other women, so that way they can actually remove the plausible deniability of dudes purposefully getting themselves in these types of situations in the first place. This is really not being down on her. I'm just talking about the actual men that she runs into after she goes through something like this, right? So after a person goes through what she went through, again, you don't know how this person looked. You don't know what this person brought to the table. You don't know any of this stuff. Yeah, yeah, he can. So it's like, look, within Black America, whenever a woman approaches you, the first thing she does is she break the ice by you admitting that there is no problem. That's the first thing that most likely happens all the time. The second thing that happens is she's going to act like she's an AWOL. She's going to act like that. But you thinking AWOL, but it's AWOL for her. So you have to understand that when you come into the deal, because remember, these people are not in their early years. They're going through this shit in like 30 something years old. 30 something years old. So you're talking about since they reached the age of knowing that they can get shit out of men, you're talking about somebody who has been through this, let's say minimum 15 years old. And let's say they're 35 right now. They've been going through this same cycle for 20 years. 20 years of trying to make the cultural thing work that specific way. And you have to realize that you can't feel sorry for these people, man. You can't do that because they're expecting the next person to come around to give this person a clear slate. She was trying to blame this polished fuckboy for her actual interactions from her with him. That she was married, that the dude was married, and all this kind of stuff. You know, the same stuff that most women actually go through, which is all their fault, by the way. Because when you don't have an expectation of choosing properly and correctly, you tend to stay on the market a hell of a lot longer. You really don't tend to care about what you offer people after you're quote unquote done having your fun. And you have to understand that there was a cultural narrative that was put out there by men, by the way, not by women. Women kind of glommed onto it in a very specific way. So this is how the men actually covered up for that type of behavior. What they would do is they would not put the onus on the person being clear of said track record. The onus would be put on the man to chase harder, to chase better. Because everything always boomerangs back onto the man about looks and how much money you're making and blah, 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 blah. But you have to understand that this is a level of expectation from them to you. The expectation of them is they're not going to bring anything to the table but them. Your expectation is lowering your guard and thinking that you're going to get something out of this person that you're just clearly not going to get out of it. So when you see these people around talking about community, talking about, oh, look at the status of this is what the status of the community was. Status of the community was individuals like this doing whatever they could to get the most that they could out of every situation that they could. But if men actually did that, we would be wrong for actually doing that. You have to pay attention to what's actually on the field. and why it's actually still on the field. Trust me, if these people were worthwhile, they wouldn't be out there this long, man. They wouldn't be out there this long. And most people think that you're just going to pay attention to some relationship guru and you're going to be able to outgame that specific thing. You're not going to be able to outgame anything like that in any circumstance like that. Because you, as a man, you're responsible for the choices that you make in the situation that you put yourself into. They're not responsible. They're never going to be responsible. So if you still have the actual cultural narrative, what's going on, Elon, that you're actually going to go through all this stuff, and then there's going to be some type of redemption arc where people are going to take you seriously, you're wrong. So you just got to get these people. It's just never going to be able to work. This is why it's vitally important that you get your stuff together and you have to move on to worthwhile people who haven't been through this type of situation over and over again. So what you got to understand is that I'm covering this stuff a different way. I'm telling you to leave this stuff all the way alone. There is no winning hand here. If this is Texas Hold'em and the other person has a royal straight flush on the flop, there is no way for you to build full houses that you're going to be able to beat that hand. The house wins every single time. They can afford to be on the market. You can't afford to be on the market as a dude. Because as soon as you get your stuff together, you get into one of the wrong type of interactions, and you'd be like that quarterback. That quarterback who had all these women just come together and just start suing him for harassment and fake ape ray charges and all that stuff. Yeah, that's what happens when your actual lay count is real. They come after you at some point, especially if you're that public of a person and all these people get together. Yeah, you're going to be costed a lot of stuff. So the sign for being unsexually disciplined is not time that you should be wasting. A lot of these people want the experience. They lie like they have the experience, but they have nothing to show for the actual experience, especially when it comes to success. Everybody is trying to figure out the same problem over and over again when you know damn to the well you should be leaving this stuff alone. Remember, this stuff is not properly cultured for a proper handoff. Like cultures are supposed to properly prepare women to be with men. This culture has properly prepared women to use and discard men and move on to another guy. While most of the dudes act like they are discardable dudes who's willing to be used as sexual labor, while meanwhile telling you that they somehow run these actual people. This is why this stuff doesn't make any sense overall. But at the end of the day, everybody's trying to make a mint off of making it look like they have this stuff under control. And of course, at the end of it, she did the right thing, did the culture, doing the counseling and all that kind of stuff. But all this stuff is preventable. All this stuff is preventable. And this person is probably going to walk into the next relationship and pretend like that guy was the problem the entire time. Not the fact that they chose the wrong thing or had the improper cultural ending wrong the entire time. This is why you gotta watch these sort of things. Like most of the women that I don't even give a damn about because most of them are here to just you know play all these games and just get all these dudes up in the tizzy. And most of these people are married. They're off the field. You can't verify what kind of decisions that they made. But everybody is making a mint off of your non-focus on yourself. Because if you was focused on yourself, there ain't no way your actual focus would be through that person or through that type of person. Because that's the type of archetype that's around here. And it's not an archetype that's around here in short supply. It's an archetype that's around here in very large supply. Yeah, that too. The culture does actually teach them that, but that can be actually untaught. Like like everybody's trying to settle on low hanging fruit when the low hanging fruit is a level 99 boss and you only like level one. I mean, it's so granular to the point to where 50-year-olds are gaslighting younger people about what they're doing about this stuff. There shouldn't be no new child support dudes out here. There should be no more new people falling into the man spirit talking about how street they are, how lit they are, how none of this stuff. It don't work. It was out of style then, it's out of style now. There ain't no it's going to be no way in the world you're going to be able to keep doing this stuff over and over again. You see, you got it backwards. Women are supposed to make themselves available to all guys. Men are not supposed to make themselves available to all women. But that's where we are. But we're going to continuously be here as long as you're not truly focused on what you need to be focused on. Because a focused dude is not even really worried about these types of things. Most of the younger dudes that I ran into, these dudes trying to get their trucking business up, they're trying to get to the next level. They're not even trying to even deal with older black men for the most part. They're not even trying to deal with older white dudes or Latin dudes for the most part if they ain't on their stuff. Did they need to be specifically told that? No, they didn't. The younger generation have already looked at the older individuals going through this type of stuff and say, like, man, I don't want none of that. Because now you got to deal with two generations at the minimum of men who's been raised under these circumstances. And you have to look at the level of churn rate through that. There's not really many successful men per capita. Because if they stay into this type of system, they're going to lose. Most of my uncles were highly productive people. You know what they did? They took their highly productive selves and attached themselves to the wrong type of counterparts within the environment and end up destroying their entire life with a couple of divorces. Now these people are 60 something years old, 70 something years old, and they can't even retire. Why? They went through a couple of divorces, lost a couple of houses, credit's been destroyed. These are the older guys who went through this. Those guys are 60 something years old. Look at the kids that they had that are 40 something years old. They act like the guys who are in their 60s. And some of these dudes in their 20s act like there's like a 40-year gap of like arrested development when it comes to men. And you know who the failed men are? They're trying to be cool into their 50s and 60s and all that kind of stuff. They're not really talking about retirement or productivity or anything else. Now the only thing they can do is get live off the youth. But the youth ain't here to be getting live off of. The only thing they're doing is they're getting live off of this 40-year span of arrested development. Because there's a two parts to this problem. There is her, obviously, her bets are going to be actually covered by the government. But then it's the actual guy who actually deals with this situation himself. Now, if that guy had any level of money, they just would put them Ye2 charges on. But see, dude, you ain't got time to go through all that. Once you get your stuff together, it's not time for your male hoe phase. Once you get your stuff together, there's no time for that. It's time for you to keep this stuff that you spent all your time building for. You know damn to the well that these people are not worthwhile right now. You know that. You know that now. So for the people who actually keep pushing the manosphere's entertainment, the manosphere, like, no, you're for entertainment. You're for entertainment because you ain't got nothing else to offer to the goddamn world. You're for entertainment. No, I didn't waste my time here to be a damn entertainer. I have an end goal in mind. There is nothing wrong with not having these experiences, man. There's nothing wrong with it. You should not want to be one of these people who have the experience and the track record of having to wake up every single day and look at your damn paycheck and productivity and be like, you know what? I don't even raise this family that I just had. What's going on, Isaac? But the whole gaslight, I feel your pain type of nonsense from, the counterparts within the spirit, yeah, I don't mess with that at all. But this type of conversation, the conversation that you should have. Like I learned this, when you go to be an investigator, they take you through school and they like depend on who the clientele is. You need different people to get the story out of the actual person. You need different people to get the story out of the person. And it's never going to be a one size that fits all. You may have to go to another unit or another place to pull somebody in who has the experience in getting the story out of this person. And that's the help that women can do here within the space. But the help is not going to help that much if you take your ass out there and do all the same stuff that you should be staying away from. That's why I cover these things in a different way, because this stuff is on wide display. You shouldn't even be out here going through this stuff. You should just look, laugh, point, move on. And it's always child support dudes who say stuff like that. It's always child support dudes who say stuff like that. It's always child support dudes and failed divorcee dudes who actually want you to chase a failed status of manhood that didn't work for them. But somehow you're supposed to practice it because they're further along the line of failure. I've seen these dudes. These dudes who was in the dorms well into their 40s, E6s and E7s living in the dorm. Why? Didn't have any self-control. There were some dudes in there who was divorced, but it far was outnumbered by dudes who still thought that they were young ass dudes. And then they would go get person after person pregnant over and over again. And that's what you would have to do. You have to see these failures and walk past them. Here I am, 18 years old, overseas, and there's a guy on the same hall that I'm on who's 48 years old. Still trying to holler at a young chick. End up getting her pregnant and boom. That's another child support check for him. Yeah, these dudes are all over the military. They didn't stay in a long ass time because they had skills. They stayed in a long ass time because they didn't have no goddamn skills. And they couldn't afford to be outside of that environment because they couldn't even live by themselves in a one bedroom apartment while having all that so called rank. This stuff is for real, man. These consequences are for real. Nobody's going to take care of you how this person is going to be taken care of. Like you go to other countries like China. If you ain't off the market by 25, you just one of the forgotten women. That's it. Nah, man, like them are passport magos, dude. Like we don't even we don't even we don't even acknowledge them type of dudes. And you can see them a mile away, and you actually see them when you actually land and go to those spots. They look the same, they sound the same, and they want to hang out with a more cultured group than they are and still be on the same nonsense. This is why I say that you got to culture swap these things. And you got to maintain your level and position of choice out here. You got to be certain that you don't end up like all these older dudes. You don't have time for the redemption story, man. The redemption story is for clowns right now. The redemption story isn't for dudes who have their stuff together. The redemption story is for clowns who didn't do this stuff right. You want to brag on how much access you got to things that people wouldn't want if they had better cultured options? Okay. But there's not a single individual who kept that access up without having the consequences to go with it at some point. Yeah, I mean, to check it for you, like, there's a difference between being an eligible bachelor and being a person who ain't got no choice. That's like the difference between a person who goes to a casino and they sit at the bar and they watch the football game or maybe the basketball game, and the persons who put out the casino because they ran out of money. Those are two very different people who are in the casino. But one person in the casino wishes they were the other person at some point inside the same casino. One person they're not coming around to give 3-2 beer to. One person's not coming around to get them weak ass pina coladas. One person is not coming around getting any of those offers to try to get you to entice to play. One person's not getting that. That's the difference. And when you have nothing to offer, the only thing you can do is attach yourself to a failed system and depend on the entire failure of the entire structure to help sustain you. That's the problem here. That's the problem here. Failed men want a blind eye and a clean slate to keep running up a score on people around so that way they can get their stuff off, so that way they can be productive of everybody else's stagnation. Dude, it was no different when I was in those dorms, man. Those people suffering the most type of consequences was trying to give out the most type of advice. Well, what the commander should have did was just paraded these losers out in front of everybody and had these dumbass motherfuckers tell their story in front of everybody about why grown ass man is in the damn dorms around a bunch of damn children. For the most part, they didn't do it. They should have done it, but the lessons were there, man. And person after person signed up for those same consequences, and those people didn't say anything to those people. No, that was more like join the club. We're glad you're here. You're suffering like we're suffering now. You're not supposed to know how disaster works, man. You're not supposed to turn around and wish you had extra shots and chances when your ass really needs them after you made a preventable mistake. You got to understand that these are the most of the people who's out here. And they have to be culturally obligated to lie to your face. They have to lie to your face. And you have to play along. These people ain't going out here jumping through bushes, dragging people along for the ride. That's people who are willingly signing up for this stuff. That's a choice. What's going on, Coach? Yeah, it sure does. Dude, if everybody had the secret sauce, man, everybody would have the answer by now. The correct plan only need to be engaged or employed one time. In the same environment where it works, employ it one time. It don't need to be employed multitudes of times by multitudes of people because the information is basically the same. The only thing you're doing is just buying into one actual character over to another. You know the information is garbage, right? And most of these people engage in this type of stupidity. It's kind of like I always use this example. It's kind of like a free rattlesnake is sold with every bunny rabbit, but you have to put the bunny rabbit and the rattlesnake in the same bag. You can't separate them, and you can't have the bunny rabbit as a pet without the rattlesnake. You can't separate them, but you're going to put them in the same box, and by the time you get home, you're supposed to have two fully live pets. When you know damn well this ain't how this works. What I'm saying is this, once this site gets up in about 5 or 6 days, I'm gonna be out of here, man. I'm gonna be out of here, man. I'm going to my own site and doing my own content and going other places and doing shit because I can't be sticking around here. What's going on, Soul Provider? Yeah, man. Like a lot of these people are waking up. A lot of these people were raised by those type of women that they don't want to turn out being. And there ain't nothing wrong with making better choices. Making better choices is not racist or anything else. Making better choices saves you, saves them. There's not a single one of those human beings who've abused their level of choice who's actually winning right now. These are the people who posting all these bullshit ass memes and all this kind of nonsense that pretty much outs them as somebody that you shouldn't be messing with. You would think the opposite would happen, that if you are such a bad deal that you would shut the hell up and just act like a pick me. But that ain't the case, man. Yep, that's the thing, and it's like, but they bought in on a bad cultural deal. You know, every time they frivolously gave themselves up, they actually was told by those same community minded individuals that somebody was going to come here someday and clean this stuff up for them. But mess with them for right now. But you got to watch these stories, man. You got to watch these stories. And you need to watch with a watchful eye, man. Because remember, there are people who think they got this stuff figured out. A lot of people think they got this stuff figured out, man. You don't have this figured out. Because if you did, there would be a ton of proof. There would be a Nobel Prize for psychology if you got a way to figure this out on a one-to-one basis. But if you turn around and you look at it the other way, you're causing your own problems at this point. There's not a single person that you can go to any family court who has a smile on their face when they take their ass up there. There's not a single person talking about game when they're taking more and more out of your damn check. There's not a single person talking about any of that stuff when it comes to real life consequences, when this shit comes back to you. When you get served at your job for harassment papers or some other shit that it takes a while to get out of, but it takes seconds to get into. You got to stop feeling sorry for these people, man. You got to stop feeling sorry for people who connected themselves to this shit. You got to stop feeling sorry for all that shit. You have to stop feeling sorry for them, man. Because they don't have any control over you if you care about them more than they care about them. That's why they always try self-esteem ploys on you, because they assume that you have low self-esteem to the point to where you got to need their presence in order to move on as a person, when you clearly don't. You got to be the person that leaves this stuff alone. It's okay not to have this experience, man. It's okay. It's okay to be the dude without child support. It's okay to be the dude who kept his money because he didn't go spending on a whole bunch of nonsense to go get seen. No, there's sociopaths within the manosphere who say stupid shit like that too. It isn't just there over a fat ass. Dude after dude I've seen trying to holler at officers and shit. Whole career gone because they couldn't pass up things that wasn't meant for them, that wasn't interested in them. But that's where we at, though. Yeah, but most of this stuff is cultural, man. A lot of these people are raised under the wrong type of male leadership and female leadership. And this becomes, yeah, yeah. Man, you see it all the time, man. Dude, I probably arrested like 15 people, especially overseas. Yeah, 15 people at least. Unreal. Yeah, it's for real. Dude, it's okay to focus on yourself, man. Because I'm telling you, when you focus on yourself, time slows down for you, but it speeds up for them. It slows down for you, it speeds up for them. I actually seen that dude too. Saying that the prosecutor was thicker than a bowl of oatmeal, and this dude just got 28 years. Unbelievable. But this is what it is, man. You got to watch the show, man. I'm gonna put the show in the description box, but you got to watch it. You got to watch it. You got to watch it. I know it's hard to listen to at some point, but they want to go through the redemption arc. Yeah, they want to go through the redemption arc, man. 2022, bro. Like, bro, you ain't got time for that, man. It's time to take some time off and go focus on yourself, man. And that's where we at. Hold on a second. That's the video. Yeah, I don't think that's the case. You know, we really ain't got nothing in common. You know, no, we ain't got nothing in common, man. Like my end goals are just very different from older, expired men who still think their only actual idea to help men is to help men get into the pants of women. Like that doesn't help the women out either. These people got some real problems, and more access to sex isn't going to solve any of that. But that's the video, LOM, and everybody need to watch that too. That dude about to go to jail for a multitude of years. He's still trying to holler at women. But that's where we at, man. It doesn't make you any less of a man to actually focus on the things you need to focus on. Actually, that's what makes you a man, period. The things that you do focus on versus what everybody else focuses on. It's true. It's for real. Remember, inside those communities, you don't see productive men around unless they're being used and abused that obviously everybody can see because that's what they wanted you to think about productive men who have their stuff together. That those guys are nothing but fodder for us. And you're going to be the opposite of a productive guy so that way you can keep your credibility high with us. That's what they told you off in them communities. And you didn't have to be raised under that leadership to actually find out that that was the wrong thing to do. A lot of these people chase that thing down. But you got to understand the cultural track record of the people who you actually dealing with. This way you can waste less time dealing with undesirable people. Because a lot of these people think that they're going to flip undesirable into desirable. Yeah, that got to be a troll right there. What's going on, man? But that's where we at, though. That's where we at, though, man. Yeah, man. So 2022, I'm gonna be getting up out of here and doing other things, man. Because I don't want to be on YouTube. I want to forever. You know, I want to kick this thing up into the next level. I want to get a nonprofit going. I'm gonna be bringing on some actual IT recruiters and other recruiters for all these type of jobs out here. I want to actually do something with my time on here because all the other time that I've wasted trying to get people to actually yeah. So that's what I want to go with it because there's a lot of these states that have a lot of jobs that are open, a lot of good training, but nobody to fill those actual spots. Yeah, but I don't go around a culture of hoes trying to treat them like women, and I can attract. You know what? Shit can attract a whole bunch of flies, man. That's not hard. Yeah, man, like that's really not that hard, man. If you want to go around a bunch of people that don't have a cultural track record of providing anything, and you just want to willingly feed yourself to them, knowing damn well that if things go wrong, you ain't gonna get nothing out of that. They're gonna get way more out of you. I've never seen people give themselves away to a certain individual who don't get more out of them than they get out of them. Yeah, well, that's what happened when you're 50 years old, going on 60 years old, talking about the same shit. Yeah. Now you got to walk that shit down till you're 90 years old, man. Bro, that stuff ain't working, man. No, you got to leave them out there, man. No, leave them out there. Leave them out there. Yeah. The only people who's worried about attracting women are dumbass fucking dudes, man. You want to put your whole life on hold so that way you could be a gigolo for a person who's not worth it. All right, man. That's their generation, man. That's their generation. But a lot of people who are on that failed male path, it doesn't matter what color you are. A lot of people think that stuff, man. And a lot of people get mad when you invalidate their masculinity, when you don't follow their path into destruction. That's another thing that's a problem, too. They don't like you invalidating their masculinity. They don't like that. Your success invalidates their masculinity. Your non-focus on women as the end goal and point of why you did everything invalidate their masculinity. If doing the things that you're supposed to do invalidates their masculinity, then you're doing the right thing. You don't let failed men gaslight you into going to do things that has nothing to do with your end goal. If the culture created actual counterparts that you could deal with on a one-to-one level, there wouldn't be any need for people past the age of 40 years old talking about women. It doesn't make any sense. Yes, you all have to fail so that way they can survive. You all have to fail so that way they can survive. You all have to come back to this community and rescue the woman that they knocked up at like 15 years old and now she's 30 something years old. You got to clean up the. No, you ain't got to clean up a damn thing. You should seek to have a woman that has the same level of experience that you have. What's wrong with that? If somebody was improperly culturally prepared to take on the role, you don't make up that type of time by overarching and throwing yourself into something that you have no business being in. I would say this to all the 50-plus-year-old crowd who's talking to these young ass women. Who on earth is going to date these women after you so-called quote unquote fix them? Who's going to be the men that you have that's going to take over on downs after this stuff is over? What type of person that you preparing to be a relief pitcher for this game that you preparing for? Yes. Somebody has to be the fall guy here, and it ain't them. And that's the thing. It's kind of like diabetes when you hit 50. By the time that you have all the money to eat all the bullshit that you want to because you can afford it, you can't even do the shit no more because if you eat all that shit, you're going to die. That's what it is. Listen, man, if it's that good to them, let them keep it. You break it, you bought it. Your own community is your own household and your actual accomplishments. Don't get gaslit into fixing broken ass fucking men and women. Don't do that shit. No, 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 no. Don't do that. You let them sit one out, man. Let them sit out. They're at the end of their road and you at the beginning of yours. It's time to start investing in property, buying land, doing all this type of stuff that you may have never seen done before. You may never have seen anybody that you know have done it before, but it's time for you to go to experience that, man. Dude, it's time for you to go on a cruise. It's time for you to go on a cross-country vacation because you got your shit together and you ain't gotta be watched like a 5-year-old by your circumstances that you can't leave. It's time for you to enjoy all the things the older generation never could because they been on the wrong goddamn horse. It's time for you to experience that before you give up that freedom to be stagnant in a situation for 18 or 20 years. Make sure you go get some professional help with that, man. Because these older ass individuals around here, way older than me, they ain't gonna give you help with nothing. Nothing but disaster ridden things. I'm telling you, man, when you take your first trip overseas, you see how men and women interact with each other. You see how the undesirables in society don't get access to anything in society because of their track record duty to change your entire life. It'll change your entire life, man. It'll change everything, man. And like looking at the cruises, man, you can leave cruises all across the United States. Well, on the coast you can. You ain't taking no cruise from Arkansas and going nowhere, but you have to go somewhere. And you have to be able to see how other things work. That's how you enrich your life because you're not going to see what's at the top of black culture or American culture in other cultures at all. You're going to see actual men who actually produce, who actually build, who actually dealt with a person on a one-to-one basis and actually chilled out after the work was done. They wasn't trying to look for no damn woman at 50 and 60 and 70 and 80 years old and shit. They wasn't doing that. They wasn't doing that. Because a lot of cultures can't embrace or even sustain bad decision making. A lot of cultures can't sustain that shit. A lot of other cultures, you get somebody pregnant, you're both fucked on both sides. There is no government help. You owe it to yourself to be the person who goes out and see this shit. That's what I'm saying. You go to other countries who would never even have the even problem of treating their people that way. You go around and you don't have to worry about the police and shit. Like, dude, when I was in Germany, man, I never had to worry about Polizei pulling me over for some goofy ass reason. I never had to worry about that shit. And they had to be in the barracks, just like how the fire department has to stay at the fire department until their ass is called out. You got to experience that shit, man. But if Polizei wanted to talk to you about a DUI, I suggest you give them that blood, man. Or else they'll retrieve it by other means very quickly, I might add. But that's where we at, man. We can't let these people destroy the rest of our goddamn image. And they're passively destroying it. They're not really actively destroying it. They're just doing the actual poisoning of the well, so that way they can just make everything entertainment based, so nobody can be serious about shit because they don't have the capability of being serious about anything. You don't see other countries coming over here trying to go to the hood and see how they destroyed this shit and try to take their stuff back to their place. You don't see that type of stuff. You don't see people coming from overseas going into trailer parks, seeing how they destroyed their stuff similarly to how the thing was destroyed within the black. You don't see people come over here doing that kind of stuff. When people get here, when they hit the ground, they hit the ground running. There is a lot of Arabs and Asians in these trucks out here, man. They just got here. They can't speak English, but they have enough sense to understand more money versus less money. They don't have to worry about the woman watching them. They don't have to worry about that. Because when you're dealing with cultured people, man, like bro, you can go out and actually handle business, and she can handle the household. But if you can't leave her ass alone for 5 minutes because she can screw the rest of the planet, then what are you doing? What are you doing? Most of these problems are yours. You know, you can say all that dumb shit you want to about biological impairment. There is no biological impairment that forces you to get your ass into preventable situations. There's not going to be a fully cooked steak inside of a lion's cage that actually requires you to go in there because you're so fucking hungry, man. That's not how that works, bro. They didn't allow them to stay because they had a better, more cohesive culture, and they knew that. But that's where we at, folks. You got to watch that show, man. You got to watch that show. You got to watch the next crop of people who don't get it being out here. This is normal. Hey, man, Renaissance man, look, I say it all the time, man. We need more people on child support. We need more people not being able to travel. We need more of that shit because the wrong type of people need to stay their ass here. Because there's a lot of dudes who's trying to leave this environment and go to other places and spread their nonsense to other places, messing up our image other places when they belong their ass right here. Yeah. You better take pride in this fucking bullshit. Ain't nobody else gonna be taking pride in it. So, with that said, on the man tomorrow, I want to thank you guys for coming through. And please watch that live stream from the breakdown, man. About the polished Pookie who did her wrong. No, man, like LOM is better than that. What you do is you declare war, let them claim victory, and don't show up. That's right, man. You can have all this shit. It's all yours, man. Then you just leave and go somewhere else. Because a lot of these people are not economically mobile anyway. Most of this stuff is built on consistent, deliberate mismanagement within one environment, so they can't move. Yeah, that was the name of it. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was the name of it. That was the name of it. I didn't name it, but it was everybody else's fault but hers. So with that said, on the man tomorrow. I've been here for an hour. I really don't do panels no more. But the next year, it's gonna be a good year. The site should be up. Hold on a second. Let me put the actual stream in the actual comments. And I'm glad that I'm really proud of Concrete Rose for not really interrupting and just letting her get all her shit off and making her look crazy. Hold on a second. This is the actual live stream. I'm gonna put it in the comment section. I can't believe I couldn't. I didn't do that before we started. But yeah, that's where we're at, man. I want to thank you guys for coming through. On the man tomorrow, you guys have a really nice day. Peace.